So, in the middle of my day to day, I get ideas of fun things to look at. We're early in the season, and there's some teams that look like they're ready for a dip, and teams that look like they're ready for a huge jump. Now, in any given season, you can have those huge jumps, those huge dips, and not every team stays down or stays up. So, first, we're going to go over 1 year wonders. And by 1 year wonders, I mean teams that were out of the playoffs, made the playoffs, and missed the playoffs. And in grading them, I went by how many points they jumped and how well they did in the playoffs. So let's see, at 10, we have the 1990 Toronto Maple Leafs. And I'm going to put the 3-year point totals here. So they went from 62 points to 80. Remember, this is before all the overtime shootout and all those other points. And then the following season, they dropped 57 points. They only made it to the first round that year. But it was a big jump. I remember, the Oilers were 500, and it was exciting. Or the Maple Leafs were 500. It was an exciting time, and then they went right back down into the tank the year after. Number 9, a recent event. Vancouver Canucks. It was expected that they would stay down. They had 83 points. Willie Desjardins' first year, they had 101. And then they dropped back to 75. And, of course, they went out in the first round that year. So, 100-point season. Again, this is obviously buoyed by all of the overtime and shootout points. But still, it's a 100-point season. It's an 18-point jump. And then 26 points down after. So, kind of insane. Wait, no. See, then I want to do teams first. And it's not teams first, Shannon. It's year first, and then the team. Because the year is just as important in my eyes. And I tried to limit to one per team, so there's only one for each team that's on the list. 2003 Washington Capitals. They went from 85 points to 92. But the reason they're in here, they go from not making the playoffs to making the playoffs, and then the year after, 59 points. And again, they're out in the first round. It's important because a lot of these guys, these teams that overachieve, they go out in the first round. Because in a best of 7, a team is able to key in on the reasons why they're going to make this dive in the points, and they fall right out of the playoffs. Number 7. Going back to 1998 for this one. And the Los Angeles Kings. They went from 67 points to 87 points and in the playoffs to 69 points and out of the playoffs. This was before their rebuild that led to them being a 2-time Stanley Cup champion. And I remember that 98 season. Remember, and again, when these teams had these big jumps, there was all this optimism and all this idea of, hey, maybe they're a contender. And you can never tell until the season after. Number 6, 2015 as well. And it's Calgary's turn. Calgary, the weird thing with them is that they went from 77 to 97 and right back down to 77. Now, they made a second round appearance, which is why I have them higher up on the chart, because they knocked out the 2015 Canucks in the first round. So that's why the Canucks are 9th and they're 6th. So we got that. 5th, the year we're going with is 2011. Tampa Bay. They went from 80 points to 103. And then they dropped back down to 84 the year after and missed the playoffs. And because it's Tampa and they have a very good playoff record, they went to the conference final that year. Tampa and Carolina are both teams that when they make the playoffs, they do really well. They don't make the playoffs a lot over their history, but when they make the playoffs, they do quite well. And there was no exception here. And again, Tampa, 2011, conference final, they're on their way up, and then they weren't. So we're up to 5. 4. 2003 Minnesota Wild. specifying in case anybody wants to go, hey, is he even in the North Stars? Not in 2003, I don't. So they went from 73 to 95 points. And they dropped back down to 83 the year after. And they went to the conference final too. So the 2003 Minnesota Wild, of course, famously came back from 3-1 down. Pretty sure they came back from 3-1 down twice that year. And that second time was against the Canucks. So Vancouver pretty good at choking away 3-1 leads and coming back from behind 3-1 too. So that's number 4. Number 3, and I'll try to line these up now. The Anaheim Ducks. Same year. They went from 69 points to also 95 points and then dropped further to 76. And of course, they went to the finals and they lost in the Stanley Cup final. J.S. Giguère gets the Conn Smythe Trophy, and there was a lot of excitement in Anaheim coming out of that year, and then they fell right off the map. But they would come back and win a Stanley Cup 4 years later. Number 2. This is a recent one. 2012. New Jersey Devils went from 81 points to 102. And then they dropped to 48. And I'll put an asterisk there because that was during a lockout-shortened season. And of course, they also went to the finals and lost to the LA Kings. This team down here, just a lot later. So, you have Jersey, Anaheim, Minnesota, Tampa, Calgary, LA, Washington, Vancouver, Toronto. So who would be number 1 on this chart? Well, honorable mention to the 2006 Edmonton Oilers. But 2006 was a year for Carolina. And this is weird. They won the Cup. 2006, Carolina won the Stanley Cup. And the year after, they got 88 points and missed the playoffs. And the year before, they got 76 and missed the playoffs. That's feast or famine. That's the epitome of feast or famine right there. So, there you go. My top 10 one-year wonders in recent NHL history. I didn't go with anything that occurred before I started watching hockey. So if you're going to go back and find something from the 70s or 60s or 50s, I wasn't watching hockey yet. So those are the greatest one-year wonders. Let me know what your picks might be. Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. And thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.